Good evening. Welcome to the Murder Mukbang show. We have a very interesting case. I'm Ashley, by the way.
And I'm Brittany.
So our case this evening is we're going to be talking about Scott Peterson, who he's been in the news recently.
Yep.
And if you don't know who he is, we're about to tell you.
Yep.
And because this story takes place in California, close to the Mexican border, we're doing Mexican again.
Yep.
Secretly, it's because we really like this Mexican
This
restaurant.
place is so good.
And it's delicious. So
I'm going to take a bite.
Okay. Because you're starving?
Yeah.
All right. I'm starving too. So, Brittany and I kind of have conflicting views on this case.
Yeah, a little bit.
And so hopefully there at the end I can kind of go over why I think what I think. So...
We'll see. We'll talk about it.
And then you guys, I'm not trying to convince anybody any differently.
Mm-hmm.
I just have an opinion that I think people need to take into consideration. That's all.
I mean, it is. I'll give it to you. Like, there are some good points, but we'll go over that a little bit later.
Okay.
So, by the way, this is called the Not So Mexican Stir Fry, and I'll kind of get close so you guys can see it a little bit. It is so good. It's got zucchini in it, and
You don't like
never.
you don't like vegetables.
No. I mean, I like vegetables, but I've never really been a fan of zucchini.
Yeah.
And Ashley got a rice bowl.
It's so good. It's got steak and guacamole.
Look at that giant jalapeno on there.
Yeah, that's a giant roasted jalapeno. It's got pico de gallo and some freaking guacamole.
This is so
Delicious.
good, you guys.
Okay.
All right.
So,
Mr. Scott Peterson was born October 24th, 1971. 1971 in San Diego, California. All this takes place in California, by the way, if you guys are not aware of this case. So his family was, I wouldn't say rich, but they were like blue collar. They were kind of well off.
very well off, yeah.
His dad had his own business, and his mother also had her own business. So they were, had a pretty good income. So he grew up kind of with a silver spoon in his mouth. I would say
so. Yes, definitely.
He started to really like golf. He got into golf because that's what fucking rich people do.
Exactly. Like, that's what the hoity-toity people
That's
do.
what
no offense.
Yeah, they like, playing golf or whatever. So he got into that, and he actually was a little bit, kind of skilled at it, So, Mr. Scott, when he went to school, when I just said Mr. Scott, it reminded me of the office. Hey, Mr. Scott, what you going to... Okay, we could sing that whole song right now, but we're not going to put you guys through that. So,
Because we're talking about Scott Peterson, not Michael Scott.
So, Scott Peterson actually went to Arizona State University on like a partial golf scholarship. So, he was good enough to get a scholarship. Things didn't go so well for him because... Even though he was good, he wasn't great, and he had a little bit of trouble competing with everybody else that was
on the team.
Because I guess he was like the worst player or whatever. And then he actually got kicked off of the team. And did he get kicked out of school? No, he just got kicked off of the team because he took one of the other teammates out to drink, and I guess they got really fucked up and.
Well, so I think the kid that he took out to go drinking was the son of the coach. And the coach was like, well, he's a bad influence, and I don't want him to affect my son's chances of being a pro golfer.
Yeah. So, Scott was kicked off the team. And he ended up he left that school, and he ended up at the California Polytechnic State University, majoring in agricultural business. All of his teachers, by the way, said that he was like a model student. He got really good grades. He was, I wouldn't say well behaved because they're fucking adults, but he didn't cause any problems. He was quiet. He, he did good work.
He did his
schoolwork. He was a good student. While at the school, he also worked at a restaurant, a local restaurant around the area. And this is where he met Lacey. So now I'm going to go over Lacey's history a little bit. So Lacey was born March 4th, 1975 in Escalon, California. Her parents owned a dairy farm. So she was raised on a farm and she loved it. She enjoyed gardening with her mother, and this is where she kind of developed a love of plants, and that's what she decided she wanted to do, was work with plants. So her parents actually divorced when Lacey was like 2. Yeah, like around 2. She was really young, but she still went to this dairy farm every weekend.
She still had a relationship with her father and everything.
Yeah, she spent time there, while growing up. So when her parents divorced, Lacey and her mother's name is Sharon, and all of her brothers moved to Modesto, California. Her mother married a man named Ron Gransky when she was 2 years old and helped raise her from 2. So when you're that young, that's
basically your dad.
That's basically your dad.
Yeah.
Lacey also attended the California Polytechnic State University, majoring in ornamental horticulture. So what is that? I'm assuming something with plants, but what does the ornamental part mean?
No idea.
If anybody can let us know what that means, write it in the comments.
I don't know.
Because I don't know.
Ornamental, maybe. I have no idea.
Maybe rare plants or something? Maybe it has something to do with that?
Maybe.
Like plants from somewhere else?
I don't know. Maybe we should have looked that up.
Yeah, probably.
Oh well.
So if anybody could tell us what that means, please let us know.
Yes.
So she met Scott in 1994, and they actually met in the restaurant that Scott was working at. Their first date was deep sea fishing, and Lacey, she grew up on the farm. She never went fishing, and she was not around the ocean or any bodies of water. I mean, I'm sure there was streams and shit or whatever.
Right, but she wasn't used to deep sea fishing.
Yeah, she wasn't used to going out on the ocean, so she actually got sick their first date. Their relationship progressed, and instead of Scott trying to continue his career as a pro golfer, he kind of put that to the side and went on a more of a business path, because they were talking about starting a family, and you don't really have money when you're trying to do a pro golfer. Like when you're trying to start out, you're not really making money, and
right, and it's not even guaranteed that that's going to be a successful career. Yeah. So if he was wanting to start a family, then he would need to have a job. Have a job. Yeah.
So they dated for 2 years and then eventually moved in together. This is when Scott had his first affair in their relationship when he was a senior in college. They got married on August 9th, 1997.
Did Lacey know about this affair?
I don't know, because I didn't find anything about that either.
Yeah, I didn't either. So I don't know if it came out after the fact, after all of this.
Yeah.
And just painting him as the monster that he is.
Right.
Or she knew about it.
Right.
And she forgave him and they moved on. I don't know.
Yeah. So they got married August 9th, and then in June 1998, Scott actually graduated from the university with a Bachelor's of Science degree. And this is when they opened a sports bar. I swear that this is just some random shit.
Yeah, they didn't know what they were doing. Because you're in
yeah.
agricultural business, and then all of a sudden a Bachelor of Science. And then you're going into opening a sports bar.
And then you're going to open up a sports bar. I don't think they knew what they wanted in life.
Right.
I think that obviously Lacey always knew that she wanted to be a housewife and wanted a family and wanted that whole white picket fence thing. And Scott went along with it,
Right.
So they opened up this bar, and this was in San Luis Obispo. Business was slow initially, but then, picked up on the weekends, and they started to make some good money. So in 2000, so 2 years later, after they opened up the bar, they decided to sell it and move back to Lacey's hometown in Modesto. So once again,
tells me that the bar probably wasn't doing that great.
I just didn't. I don't think they knew what they wanted.
Well, and if she wanted to start a family, owning a bar. I mean, nothing against bar owners or anything, but when you want that white picket fence, the modern family of America, you're not a bar owner.
Right. Right.
Could be wrong. I don't know.
Maybe. So at this point, after they sold the bar and living in Modesto, Lacey started to work as a school teacher, and Scott Started to work at Trade Corp USA, which isn't like a fertilizer company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he started working for this fertilizer company, and apparently was making good money because they bought a house. It is said that Lacey worked really hard to be this like perfect housewife situation. Like she loved to decorate the house and entertain for parties and have people over and just be like this perfect Stepford wife sort of situation.
Yeah.
So in 2002, Lacey announced that she was pregnant and that she would be giving birth in February of 2003. She planned on naming this baby Connor, so they had already picked out a name. And in November of 2002, Lacey was 7 months pregnant. This is when old Scotty was introduced to a massage therapist named Amber Fry. And they sort of had a relationship. They started a relationship together. And he was kind of living a double life, sort of, you know?
Yep.
And
Wow.
Amber was told by Scott that he was single and that, he wasn't connected to anybody.
So she was just under the assumption that, oh, I just met the man of my dreams.
Uh-huh.
Well, you're a massage therapist. Whom, by the way, I did find out that she did have a kid. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She had an older daughter.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we'll kind of go into that
Uh-huh.
a little bit. So, I'm going to talk about the disappearance of Lacey a little bit. So, the last people to see Lacey alive, aside from Scott, was her mother, Sharon, and her half-sister, Amy Roca. Roca or Rocha? Roca?
I think it's Roca.
Mm-hmm. Okay. They saw her the weekend before Christmas. They had like gone away for like a little weekend to get away, and that was the last time they saw them. However, on December 23rd, Scott and Lacey went to Amy's hair salon, who she regularly did Scott's hair, cut his hair. And Scott had told Amy that he could pick up a fruit basket the following day since he was going to be playing golf, and anyways he was trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
And like for like all the family gatherings because it was, Christmas Eve and everything. So he wanted to be helpful, but he was also making it very well known, excuse me, that he was going to be playing golf. Like, okay, yeah, everybody knows Scott loves to play golf. Like, that's his thing. But he was kind of going over and beyond to, like, make sure everybody knew, I'm going to play golf on Christmas Eve.
Yep.
So then later, Sharon, which is Lacey's mom, spoke to Lacey on the phone around 8:30 p.m. that night. And then on December 24th, Scott said that he last saw Lacey when he was leaving the house at 9:30 in the morning on Christmas Eve so he could go fishing. And he said that what she was doing at that time, she was watching her favorite cooking show or TV show, which was Martha Stewart. And according to Scott, on that episode of Martha Stewart, she was making some kind of lemon meringue pie or something like that. And then she was gonna basically just clean the house and then take the dog for a walk and just kind of get ready for the festivities for that evening. So a neighbor, like around 10:30 in the morning or so, her name was Karen Service. She saw the Peterson's dog just kind of running loose and wandering around. So what Karen did was she thought that was weird, but she just took the dog and she put it in the backyard. She didn't see, she didn't see Scott's truck in the driveway, so she knew that he wasn't home, but she just put the dog in the backyard. Like, I don't know. To me, I would be like, go and knock on the door and be like, hey, I've got your dog out here.
Especially since the dog wasn't just running loose. It had a leash on it.
Right.
It was dragging a leash behind it.
Right, exactly. So, like, that was kind of suspicious. Yeah. Not suspicious to me, but, like, just kind of odd that this neighbor, if she was comfortable enough with putting the dog in somebody's backyard, she should have been comfortable enough to go and knock on the door. But who am I to judge? And then another neighbor also said that he saw the dog as well, like around 10:45 in the morning. So Scott was off doing his fishing thing, fishing thing. And he returned home and found that the house was empty. Lacey's car was in the driveway. And nothing seemed out of place or anything. And what he actually did was had wet clothes from fishing, so he took them off, threw them in the washing machine, and went up and took a shower. And Lacey still wasn't home. So that was like mid-afternoon, and then by about 5:15 that night, I guess that's when he decided, okay, things are starting to get a little weird, and he contacted Lacey's parents. And then Lacey's stepdad, Ron, he's actually the one who called police around 5:45 that night. So to me, it kind of is like, okay, well, you have a 7.5-month pregnant wife who was supposedly out walking her dog. The dog is here. The wife is not. Her purse is here. Her purse,
wallet, keys,
everything, right.
Phone, her car, everything is there.
Right, but you're not concerned. You want to go take a shower.
You want to put your wet clothes in the washing machine and start the washer and go take a shower, like.
Right. And I guess this was probably really like the time right before like cell phones became like they were a thing, but not like what we use to rely on today, you know, which is crazy because it wasn't even that long ago. So anyways, the police came to the house. They found Lacey's keys, wallet, and sunglasses inside of her purse, which was in a closet. The police did note that Scott's demeanor and attitude seemed pretty calm and relaxed, considering the fact that his 7.5-month pregnant wife is missing. Yeah. So that was kind of brought into question, and they did make note of that because the spouse is always the first person that you suspect. So Scott was questioned that evening by police. There's a video of him doing the interview. And he initially stated to police that he was actually out golfing instead of fishing, but then he later changed his story. So there's inconsistencies with his story, and it's like, okay, well, if you didn't murder your wife, why are you changing your story? So it is noted that Scott did call Lacey at 2:15 p.m. on December 24th and left her a message, and all he said was, "Hey, beautiful, it's 2:15. I'm leaving Berkeley." So the fact that it's the exact time, like, hey, it's 2:15. Like, whenever I call somebody and I'm leaving a message, I'm like, "Hey, babe, it's me." It's
you don't ever say
it's like 2:15-ish.
I don't ever say what fucking time it is when I'm making a message, because when you get a message on your phone, it tells you what time that they left the message. Right. So that is just weird that he said that.
Right. So okay, so that's kind of odd. So in the beginning, the whole Roca family initially supported Scott and believed that he was innocent. Yeah. However, on January 24th, 2003, it became publicly known that Scott was having an affair with this Amber Fry woman. And they said that it wasn't the fact that... Okay, so they found out about this. They found out about the affair. It was public. But then they saw the pictures of Amber and Scott together. So it wasn't even just like a one-night stand type deal. Like, it was an actual relationship that they were having.
He was living a double life.
Yes, he was. And so apparently it came out. So Amber Fry contacted the police, like, once she found out that, like, you know, Scott's wife...
Because she saw him on the fucking news. And she was like... What the hell? What is this man that I'm dating doing on the news right now?
So she did the right thing and contacted police and said, hey, this is the information that I have. And he told Amber that his wife was dead. Yep. On December 9th, he told her that she was dead just a couple weeks before she actually went missing. Yeah. And then, so when that came out, that's when the Roca family was like, no, this is ridiculous. Yeah. Why the hell would you tell a woman that? Yeah. So, also he told Amber that he was going to be in Paris for the holidays, when in reality they were searching for his wife.
He was at the vigil, and he was calling his girlfriend on the way to his wife's vigil.
Yeah, he told her, he said, I'm standing underneath the Eiffel Tower right
now. Like, this guy, this guy has to be like the best liar ever. Right. Ever.
Yeah, I agree.
He might not be a psychopath, but
he's a pathological liar.
Yeah, he's a great liar.
All right, so kind of moving forward, we're going to talk about the recovery of Lacey and Connor's bodies. So on April 13th, 2003, there was a couple walking their dog, and they happened to stumble upon the decomposing body of a late-term male, I'm going to say baby because it's not a fetus, it's a baby, in the San Francisco Bay Area. The umbilical cord was still attached. So the autopsy results were sealed. However, an anonymous source spoke with the Associated Press and said that the baby had a large cut on its body and had 1.5 loops of tape wrapped around its neck. On April 14th, 2003, a passerby then finds the torso of a female body. She had appeared to have been recently pregnant. She was found about a mile away from where the baby was found. The head, arms, and legs had been cut off, and all of her internal organs were missing except for her uterus, which I find to be weird, but we'll talk about that.
Because I have an explanation for it.
Okay. So DNA tests did confirm that it was Lacey and Connor. So at that point, the police do a forensic sweep of the Petersons' home, truck, boat, toolbox, and warehouse. And they found one strand of Lacey's hair on a pair of pliers in Scott's boat. One hair.
Yeah.
No blood, nothing else. No teeth, nothing. So anyway, so that hair, they determined that yes, that was hers because they performed a mitochondrial DNA test on it.
Yep.
And compared it to hair from her hairbrush.
Yep. So on April 18th, 2003, Scott was arrested. The police already had been suspecting him, so they put a tracker on his car. And they were worried that he was going to flee to Mexico, just take off. He was actually found, and his hair, he had dyed his hair, bleach blonde. They found a go bag, which I call it a go bag, but it's pretty much like a bag of, I feel like it's a bag of stuff that you take with you when you're fucking running away.
False.
No.
I've got a go bag.
Okay, but
I have a go bag in my car. You don't ever know when a situation is going to happen that you have to be prepared for.
You're right, because JP has a go bag.
Thank you very much.
Okay, whatever. So,
bam!
But your go bag does not contain the same shit that his go bag contains.
You don't know what my go bag contains.
Listen, so it was packed full of items. He had $15,000 in cash in his go bag. Because
you don't know what survival situation you're going to be in.
As well as 12 Viagra pills. And survival gear, camping equipment, and his brother's ID. And a passport, by the way. His father had said that Scott had been living in his car because he just couldn't, handle the media being crazy outside the house. Which I kind of understand because the media is fucking insane.
They are. They're very invasive.
Yeah, they are. So I get that a little bit.
Hence why he's got to go back.
Whatever. So he was charged with 2 counts of felony murder with premeditation and special circumstances. So at the trial, Scott had several attorneys. One of them was Mark Garagos. He's a high-profile defense lawyer. You guys might know him. He defended Casey Anthony. And
did he defend?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And somebody else too recently.
Oh, like high-profile.
The guy that shot Trayvon Martin.
Oh, I don't know.
He defended that guy as well. So he had a really good lawyer. Scott's trial began June 1st, 2004, and the prosecution claimed that Scott made cement anchors to anchor down the body, which we have some different opinions on that.
I haven't disagreed that he made the cement anchors. I do agree with that.
So they found one cement anchor. But I'll see if I can find a picture of it. Ashley can put it in the video. It's a picture of this table with plywood, and you can see like remnants of cement dust and everything. So he mixed a whole bag of cement, and you use, you know, not a whole bag to make one of these anchors. And Scott had said that he just used the rest of the cement in like this little hole that was next to his fence at the house. But police tested that cement spot, and it turns out that that's not the same cement that was made with the anchors. And you could totally tell in the picture that it's like spread out. Like it's not just one little spot where he made the anchor. And you could see circles. Like there was definitely more than one anchor, but they only found one. Also, they only found a torso of Casey. They never found...
You mean Lacey?
Yes, sorry. Lacey. They only found her torso. They never found her head. They never found her fucking hands and her feet. They never found any of this shit, Ashley. So I'm telling you.
But they also never found any of the anchors, and they scoured the bay with sonar and divers, listen, and they did not find any anchors.
I think that he actually took them out farther into the ocean and dumped it there, and then the body floated back because, as we all know, bodies blow up when they're in water and they expand from all the gas inside the stomach. And I think he cut the body open to make sure that it didn't float to the top. And I think fish just ate her organs, and that's how the baby came out. And I think the damage that happened to the baby happened after it was expelled from the body. So,
okay,
we'll get into that a little bit further. The defense questioned the thoughtfulness of the investigation by the Modesto police.
Thoroughness.
What?
Thoroughness.
Oh, sorry.
Not thoughtfulness.
Yeah, sorry. I can't read. He's saying that an alibi wasn't checked of a prostitute had been stealing checks from the Petersons' mailbox.
I don't
understand that part.
Yeah.
So, the defense also claimed that there was a lack of direct evidence and downplayed the circumstantial evidence.
Yes.
Pretty much all of this is saying that the police, like, were 100% sure that Scott is the one that did this. So, lazy police work happened, you guys. Like, they didn't... I don't think they investigated the case as well as they should have.
No, absolutely not. So, I'm going to talk about the evidence a little bit about this, and then we're going to, I have an entire list of things that I'm going to discuss about this whole case. Anyway, so the evidence that was presented during the trial, for the prosecution was they found a single piece of hair in some pliers that matched Lacey's. They also, the prosecution also presented that Scott changed his appearance, and that was odd behavior. It is, because why would you want to change your appearance if you're not hiding anything? Why would you want to be changing your appearance? And besides, a goatee is not good on anybody.
No.
Don't ever grow a goatee. Ugh, vomit. They also presented as evidence, which I find ridiculous because this is not even a real thing, but they presented that he added 2 porn channels just days after Lacey's disappearance, stating that he added those channels because they knew that he wasn't going to be coming back. Okay, sex addiction is a real thing, and people can't control their urges, okay? He traded in her car and got a Dodge pickup, which that is very suspicious because you don't know why would you do that? So I will give them that. Scott had expressed interest in selling the house that he shared with Lacey. I don't find that to be odd at all. My husband and I actually had a discussion about this today, and he said that if I was murdered or died suddenly, like, he would want to put the house up for sale because he wouldn't want to live in the same house that he shared with me because there's just too many memories. So I get that. The defense, they brought in a fertility specialist. His name was Charles March, and he stated that Connor actually died a week after the prosecutor said that he had died. So, but that to me doesn't really make any sense because if the umbilical cord was still attached, but maybe, okay, but, excuse me, so, but maybe if Lacey was held captive somewhere for a week and then, shut up, don't you give me that freaking look, okay? I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. So anyways, basically all of his testimony got thrown out and his credibility got slashed because he became flustered and he basically said, come on, cut me a break or cut me some slack here. Yeah. So that's it.
Wow.
That's all the evidence. That's all the evidence that they had. They had no other physical evidence whatsoever.
She is right.
I know I'm right.
So, sentencing. November 12, 2004, Scott was convicted of first-degree murder with premeditation and special circumstances for Lacey and second-degree murder for Connor. December 13th, 2004, Scott was sentenced to death.
Which is surprising for California.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Ed Kemper and Charles Manson for crying out loud. You're not going to put them to death, but you're going to put this guy to death? Okay.
Yeah. So,
good job.
On March 16th, 2005, Scott was ordered to pay $10,000 towards Lacey's funeral. October 21st, 2005, a judge ruled that this life insurance policy that Scott took out a year before she disappeared, worth $250,000. By the way, he fought for that like real hard.
I know he did. I know.
Which is ridiculous.
Yes.
So that
unless he didn't kill her, and then
okay. So that ended up going to her mother, rightfully so. On September 2006, a man named William D. Annermeyer wrote Dannermeyer. Whatever, excuse me. Wrote the CAG,
the California Attorney General. Sorry.
Okay, thanks, because I didn't know what the fuck that was. Stating that Lacey was killed by a satanic cult and not Scott. So we're going to go into the appeals, because why not? July 6, 2012, Scott's attorney filed a 423-page appeal stating that Scott did not receive a fair trial due to the publicity that the case received, which I agree with, even though I know in my heart 100% that Scott killed Lacey. I do not think he got a fair trial. I do not. Because this case was so public and everybody had already made their opinions about this case before he even stepped into the courtroom.
Yes.
So that I agree with. Even though he's a guilty, disgusting murderer, he didn't get a fair trial, which everybody deserves a fair trial. The defense also filed a habeas corpus petition claiming that a juror lied on the application, and that they were neighbors who saw Lacey alive after Scott left.
There were 10, to be exact, 10 neighbors.
So that, I don't think that's credible because I researched that there was, it was found out that there was also another pregnant lady that looked a lot like Lacey and had a similar dog that walked around all the time. So people saw her and thought it was Lacey.
Oh,
that was
that's
proven.
What it was.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see. June of 2nd of 2020. So not too long ago. The defense argued that the prospective jurors were improperly excused. That the trial judge improperly allowed 2 jurors on the Peterson boat. So there was some investigation that the boat that Scott purchased, which, by the way, he purchased the day after he told his girlfriend, Amber Fry, that his wife was dead and that this was the first holiday he was going to spend alone. The very next day, he bought that boat. And it was a...
Calm down. You don't have to be so aggressive.
I'm so hyped up about this because I've been doing a lot of research the last couple of days.
Oh, because she's trying to prove me wrong. That's why.
Yeah, man, because she is wrong.
I'm not saying that he's innocent.
So this boat that he bought was actually a freshwater boat.
I didn't find any information about that whatsoever.
You can tell because saltwater boats are bigger, and this was like a smaller bass fishing boat.
You don't know that because whenever we go to the Chesapeake Bay all the time, I see tiny little boats like that out on the Chesapeake Bay all the time.
It was a freshwater boat. And
I'm sorry, are you some kind of boat expert?
Well, I mean...
Exactly. Okay.
Anyway. So, this freshwater boat, when you go out into the ocean with, like, the waves and shit, it's very hard to balance.
Yes, I agree.
So, if he were to take a body out on this boat to get rid of it and accidentally fell over... That would kind of explain why he was soaking wet when he went home that day.
No. Okay, so there I can rebuttal that because there was an expert witness who did say that they tested the boat out, and when you do throw a fish, let's just say because it was a fishing expert, the same size as Lacey, about 150 pounds.
Yeah.
He said that if you throw it over like that in that type of boat, you will get soaking wet.
Yeah.
Not that he falls into the water.
It doesn't matter. He still would have gotten wet throwing something over the
right. Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, these jurors were allowed onto the boat, which I guess they weren't supposed to be allowed onto the boat.
I guess not. I don't know.
They were testing this theory to see if the boat that he had purchased was able to carry a body and you were able to throw something out of it, you know. So I guess they weren't supposed to do that. They also had a motion to move the trial to another county, and that should have been granted due to the jurors' questionnaire results, showing that almost half of the prospective jurors had already concluded that Peterson was guilty before the trial.
Because of the publicity that this case had received.
So I kind of agree with that also. The trial should have been moved to another county, and they should have had jurors that weren't so familiar with the case. August 24th, 2020, the California Supreme Court
upheld his conviction.
Yeah, they upheld the conviction.
Murder conviction.
So they were like, you're still fucking guilty, but we're not going to put you to death anymore. You're just going to spend the rest of your life in jail. It was determined that during the jury picking process, several people were dismissed on the only fact that because they did not agree with the death penalty. So they like asked every single person that they were trying to pick for the jury, and they were asking like, do you agree with the capital punishment? Do you agree with the death penalty? And if they even got just a little tiny feeling that these jurors were not okay with the death penalty, they were dismissed, which is also wrong. Right. I will agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that. They should not have done that because jurors cannot be removed based on their opinions of the death penalty. That is the meaning of guaranteeing an impartial jury.
Yes.
Like, that was wrong. They should not have been able to just dismiss people because they were like, no, I don't agree with the death penalty. Because they knew going into this trial that they wanted to put Scott to death. And they did not want anything in their way to make that not happen.
Right.
So, do you want to go over your list?
Okay, listen. I'm just going to make it clear. I don't necessarily think that Scott is innocent. I think he did not receive a fair trial. And I think that there are things that we need to take into consideration about this. I do 100% feel that there was shoddy police work in this investigation. I shouldn't say police work. I should say investigation, because I feel that they cut corners because they had already thought that the husband is the guy who did it, and they didn't want to have to further their investigation to actually find things. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go over a little bit of that. We've already talked about the one piece of hair that came off the pliers. If you're a freaking woman, you know your hair falls out every single place you go. I can guarantee you there's probably 20,000 pieces of my hair on this kitchen floor right now. Yeah. Guarantee you there's probably 5 on my plate. Okay? Oh. There you go. She's got one. Okay? Hair falls out all the time. Yeah. I don't care who you are. Yeah. Like I said before, adding the 2 porn channels to his TV subscription, not the end of the thing. He's a man. He probably has a sex addiction, and that's why he's having all these extramarital affairs and everything.
It is known, like, when you're grieving or something is like sad and you lost somebody, like, people turn to sex for some reason.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It is weird.
Like, it's almost like it's comforting to them for something. I don't know.
I don't think that part is weird.
And I'm not going to sit here and judge how he grieves.
Right.
You know, because it's not the same way that I do it.
Yeah.
doesn't mean that he wasn't grieving during this time. Okay. Expressing interest in selling the house. We already covered that. That's not weird at all, I don't think. There was no blood or physical evidence on his boat, in his house, in the truck, in the warehouse, or anything. Brittany came up with the idea that he strangled her and then dismembered her body. First of all, there's still going to be blood.
Well, I don't think he dismembered her at the house or the warehouse. I think there was another stop in between their house and the bay where he dismembered the body.
I think that would have come up at some point.
Yeah, but not. He's such a good liar.
There was a witness that did say, I'm not getting ahead of myself. Okay, so there's no blood evidence anywhere, and I feel that even if he dismembered her body, if there was a second location in between the house and the boat, there would have been some kind of blood evidence on the boat from the bags or something. Blood gets everywhere.
Yeah.
You and I have both watched Dexter.
Yeah.
I know it's not a scientific show, but blood gets everywhere. I mean, you can't just hide it.
Yeah, you can. If you completely drain the body of blood.
But okay, so he's going to go to another location, another undisclosed location, and have time to drain the blood. You're talking about less than 24 hours that all of this happened.
Hey, it's possible, man.
Okay. So the fertility specialist that I had mentioned before, Charles March, his credibility got slashed or whatever. He said that Lacey found out that she was pregnant on June 9th, 2002, but then the prosecution was like, there's nothing in the medical records that say that she found out she was pregnant on June 9th. Again, I'm a woman. I have 2 kids. When I take a pregnancy test at home, I call my doctor and say, hey, I have a positive at-home pregnancy test. I need to have it come in for an appointment. And most gynecologists or OBs will not see you for several weeks because they want to make sure that the baby is far enough along that they can see it on ultrasound, and 2, that you're not already going to have what they call a chemical pregnancy. Okay, so the at-home pregnancy test that she took, it said that she was pregnant, so it kind of goes along with maybe Connor was further along than what they were originally anticipating, okay? But whatever. There were no cement anchors that were found. Like I said, they scoured the entire bay, couldn't find any. Maybe he did drop her off. Maybe he did drop her off further out in the water. I don't know, but that's my argument.
I think her head, feet, and hands are still connected to anchors out in the fucking ocean. Well, fish have probably eaten them by now, but...
Okay. So I did find that there were conflicting news reports on the dismemberment of her body. A lot of people were saying that he dumped her entire body into the ocean and that the fish ate away her head and her legs and her limbs.
No.
That's not the case at
all.
all.
They were clean cuts.
This is the fucking news reports, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
I seen the autopsy report and they were clean cuts.
Another thing that, just little details when I've never committed murder before, so I don't know how somebody is thinking and what they're thinking during this process, but there are little details that I feel that were covered that if you killed somebody, you're not necessarily gonna talk about it. For instance, making sure that the dog was loose. He said that she was going to be taking the dog out for a walk. I'm going to be more concerned about dumping a body in the ocean than I am to make sure that my dog is loose with a leash on. And also, he knew exactly what TV show Lacey was watching when he left the house. What husband knows exactly what TV show?
Because has been thinking about this for months.
You think that he brought it down to that exact detail?
Yeah, I do. Because
I don't
he's
know.
Such a good liar.
Not any man I have ever known has been able to tell me what I have been watching on TV when they left the house.
Pathological liars can.
Okay. There were also across the street on December 24th.
Yeah.
Don't roll your freaking eyes at me. On December 24th, there were burglars across the street robbing a house. The police later came back and said that burglary actually took place on the 26th. But then later, it didn't. It did happen on the 24th. And because on the 26th, the house, that whole entire neighborhood or that street was being bombarded with news reporters. One, why would a burglar burglarize a house when there's a bunch of fucking news reporters around?
Right.
And two, if they were burglarizing a house, you mean to tell me that not a single person saw that happening?
Right.
False. It happened on the 24th, okay? And those burglars were arrested. And the very first thing that one of them said as he was being arrested, I had nothing to do with that pregnant woman's disappearance. That's what he said. And then later, in a phone conversation that he was having with his brother while he was in jail, stated in there, Lacey confronted us and was going to call the police. And then his brother told him to shut up because the phone was being recorded. And the night watchman or whoever it was took that recording and turned it into the prosecution or to whoever. And all of a sudden, that tape disappeared. Weird. Okay. Also, there was an eyewitness at the marina where Scott was loading his boat into the water, who also said that the boat was empty, that there was nothing inside the boat. And the search dogs that were tracking Lacey sent to the marina where Scott was had also failed numerous tests in detecting human scents. So, what I'm trying to say is this man is not innocent. He is definitely guilty, but he did not receive a fair trial whatsoever. The media controlled the narrative. The media made the decision that this man was guilty. And once they did that, they fed the beast to the people and the people believed it. Yeah. And you can't get an impartial jury at that point. Yeah. Once it has been so publicly made that this is the man who murdered his wife, you cannot find a jury that is going to be unbiased. Right. I don't care if you say that you are the most unbiased person in the entire world, you are going to have a little bit of bias in you when it comes to something like this. Yeah.
I will agree with that. Like I said before, even though down in my deep soul, I know that he killed his wife. He didn't get a fair trial. I will admit that. 100% didn't get a fair trial. Mm-hmm. But he is exactly where the fuck he deserves to be.
Yes, I agree. He is exactly where he needs to be. I just think that we need to look at the bigger picture, and I think that the police detectives should have done a better job. Yeah. I think the prosecution should have done a better job because I do not feel that this man got a fair trial. Yeah. And I'm... if anybody knows me, I am all about putting people away for the shit that they do because they fucking deserve it. And I think he does deserve to be in prison. I don't think that he deserved the death penalty, and that I think that it is a good thing that it got overturned.
I agree with that. I don't think he deserves the death penalty because, like you said, there's crazy motherfuckers out there that have killed dozens of people. Yeah. And in such malicious ways, but they didn't get the death penalty. Right. I think they were just so fucking gung-ho on getting this man put to death that they were just like, we'll do whatever it takes.
Because that is what, I'm pretty sure that because that is what the public wanted. There was so much hate and so much anger towards him because he murdered his pregnant wife that they wanted the same for him. And I totally get that because I would probably feel the same way, but that's not how a justice system needs to work.
I can't even stand looking at this. Like, I've watched interviews and you don't think he like acts any kind of way guilty or whatever. I see right through that bullshit.
So, like, when I compare
the smudginess is real, yo.
When I compare him to Chris Watts, you know Chris Watts, right? Yeah. When I look at Chris Watts, it is an instant. Like, that is how I feel. Yeah. When I look at him, I'm like, that is an evil son of a bitch right there. When I look at Scott Peterson, it's weird. I don't get that same feeling. Even though I know that he is guilty, I just don't get that same feeling.
Smudgeness, man.
And maybe, no, it's not, because I can pick out smudgeness a fucking mile away, okay? Don't even get me started on that.
He's a fucking golfer. He's smudge as shit.
He is smudge as shit. Fucking golfers. So just to be clear, I do think he's guilty, but he did not get a fair trial.
I can agree with that. So I guess our opinions aren't that different on this.
No, I just had to argue with you about several things.
Yeah.
because I felt like just from reading this article, these articles, and watching YouTube videos on it, I feel like I did better police work than what the Bethesda Police Department did.
Actually, I would agree with that too.
I have the utmost respect for our law enforcement. I really do, but I really feel like they dropped the ball on this one.
Yep.
So there you have it.
There's our Scott Peterson case, you guys.
This has been the Murder Mukbang Show. You kill them.
We grill them.
Have a great week. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.